Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and of course I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today I want to talk to you about the value and importance of looking good in midlife. And I always qualify this period of midlife, right? It tends to generally mean between the ages of 40 and 65. And this is a really fundamentally important part of any man's life journey, right? I'm 55, I'm smack in the middle of that period, and I've appreciated what it means. It can be a renaissance period for you, where you surge forward and take on new challenges. Or it can be a period, and I've seen it happen many times, where men tend to reduce their vitality and the vibrancy in which they attack life because they feel they're getting older. It's very much a mental state. And men at this phase of life, they often find themselves with a bit of tension about how the physical image that they wish to present the world. You know, what you want to do is appear stylish, because that's important, and I'll tell you now why it is important. But also, you don't want to come across as being outdated, a little bit old manish, to use the expression, where you look like a man old beyond your time because you've chosen clothing which isn't reflective of this period of midlife, which, let me just remind you, it is the halcyon period of your life journey, where the best things are going to happen to you in your life is going to happen in that period. Not when you're young, when you have immaturity, not when you're in the later life period where perhaps your physical health tends to slide. Midlife is really what it's all about. And we want to get it just right. You know, we don't want to resign ourselves to looking like an old duffer when we're still at the peak of our life journey. And it is important to think about the way that we dress at this phase, because let's be honest, right? It directly affects our perception and confidence, because over 40, how you present yourself to the world directly impacts how others perceive you. Your authority, your capability, your vitality, quite frankly, your relevance to the world in which you're living in. Because, you know, people will often say, it's a young man's game, this world. Actually, no, it's not. I would say midlife is where it's all about, and how you project yourself, the clothes that you put on your body, and more than that as well. It can act as a boost to your confidence, to make you feel better about yourself, and how you're getting out there and, you know, punching above your weight, but also how you're perceived by others very much. Not just in your professional settings, but in the social settings, in the people that you meet as you go out for, you know, a meal maybe, or making new friends, or networking, or meeting new acquaintances. What I often see, and this is important, this is an important part of dressing sharply in midlife, you know, plus 40, is men often fall for one of two traps which I see happening when we're in this renaissance phase of life. The first trap is they try and dress too young for the age that they actually are. I often see guys who are, it comes across as desperately trying to cling to your youth, right? They will wear clothing, you know the type, very much too tight for the body which they've got, clinging to the contours of the body when the contours aren't attractive as they were when you were a younger fellow, right? They wear things which are too tight because they think it sort of accentuates the musculature of the body, makes you look young and full of vitality. And really, let me sadly have to break the sort of secret to you, it doesn't. It makes you look like an old guy trying to dress like a young guy in their 20s. And if you're plus 40, it's not a good idea. Or if you're wearing clothes which have demonstrably huge logos on them, like you're trying to show the world, I've got a bit of money, I can afford to buy this designer garment, so, you know, you have to show me respect because of that. No, that's a young man's game, not a man who has acquired maturity through passing through the decades of his journey. And the other trap, which I see gentlemen often fall into, is dressing too old for their age. They go the other way. Baggy suits, dated items of clothing, chaps who start wearing bow ties and cravats. Now, I think these are stylish accessories, don't get me wrong. but they're not something you deploy on a daily basis, because it does make you look a little professorial, or however that term is, but you look like a professor. You're trying to make yourself look a little older. What we want is to go for timeless style. Something which looked good 50 years ago, looks good right now, will tell us it's probably going to look good in 50 years' time. Timeless style is the goal of the man who wants to signal maturity, but without staleness, right? You've got to find that sweet spot. And we've also got to bear into account, and this is very important, changing lifestyles and the bodies that we have underneath the clothes. Because let's be honest, by midlife, most of us chaps, our lives are off in a totally different direction to what they were when we were younger. Many of us will be married, we will have children, we have caring responsibilities for young children perhaps, for grandchildren, maybe for elderly parents. We're the guy that the weight rests on our shoulders. We're bringing in the bread, keeping the family afloat, and we're also looking after everybody else's needs. And our bodies change because frankly, many of us don't have time to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, to have a nutritional plan, to have a personal trainer. Men often, metabolisms slow down as we get older. Our bodies change, and our lifestyles shift. We simply don't have the time to invest in ourselves as we did when we were younger. Now, I would always encourage people to think about how you invest your time and your money, because there is no better investment in either medium than you. If you're not great, you can't look after people to the best of your ability who need you to look after them. But we have to be conscious that the clothes we wore in our 20s and 30s, when we were in our physical prime, probably don't look so good on us now that we're in our 40s, 50s and 60s, all right? Because our bodies have changed. So it makes sense, it's important that we dress according to the frame that we have, not how we would like to remember it when we were in our 20s and 30s. And the last thing I would say about why it's important to dress sharply at the midpoint of life is really, it's your brand identity at this phase. Because you are at the height of your influence right now. You've got coming up generations who look up to you, and they'll be influenced by you, the way you dress, the way you act, the etiquette, the courtesy you display to others. They will model themselves on the man that you are now, and they will seek to become you in the future, whether it's children, whether it's young subordinates in work, co-workers, nieces, nephews, people around you. They look to you as the man in their life at that influential midpoint. And the way that you show yourself to the world influences the people who come behind us. The brand that we put out there is like the uniform that we wear, which tells people about us, our personality, our character, the sort of person we are. I'll give you an example, right? If I went into an office and I was looking to talk to the manager for some reason or another, and the guy who is pointed out to me is sat there wearing a pair of Crocs, a pair of shorts, a t-shirt with a big Star Wars logo on it, maybe a disheveled beard and a haircut which is all over the place, I'm not going to take him seriously in his leadership position because he looks like a pile of crap. If that man was sat there in some nice shoes, decently cut suit, maybe even just a sports jacket and chinos, and he'd taken care of his personal hygiene, I would have so much more respect for him because it looks like he's made an effort. His personal brand tells me something about that person. And if you look like a pile of crap, that's how other people are going to perceive you. I'm sorry to break that to you, but it's the truth. Now, as ever, it's not just naysaying from me. I'm going to give you 3 actionable tips which can make a difference and make you look more sharp in the way that you dress in your midlife phase. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that you need to prioritize the fit of your clothing over fashion. Yes, there has been a phase in recent years of people wearing rather tight suits, tight clothing, but that's a young man's game, right? In midlife, we want something mature, classic, timeless. You want something which fits well, because if it does, if it's neither too tight nor too baggy, it's immediately going to make you look younger. It's immediately going to make you just look like you've dressed with intention. And that's going to give you more confidence in yourself. Because don't forget, when you put good clothes on, the rule of enclothed cognition means You're going to feel more confident. You're going to look better. You're going to approach the world with a different outlook because you know that you look sharp. And it's quite simply achieved by going to a tailor. And if you buy something, I mean, I bought this jacket, right, from Vinted, cost me £20. Right? I source a lot of my clothes pre-owned because I really can't afford to buy top-end stuff. But by buying inexpensively, you can afford to go to the tailor and have a few nips and tucks. Something as simple as having the length of the sleeve perfect for your arm. Inexpensively achieved, but makes it look so much better. Little things like that show that you've made an effort in your clothing. Be it on your jacket, your trousers, your shirt. Very, very simple to get fabulous looks because, make no mistake, the fit of your clothing shows that you are in control of your appearance, and that sends a powerful message to the people that you will encounter. Now, my next tip for you is to build the wardrobe of clothes that you wear as your personal brand, as your daily uniform. Build it around timeless essentials. Because, as I said, something which looked good 50 years ago, which still looks good now, is almost certainly going to look good in another 50 years. So you're investing in something you can wear for the continued duration of your lifespan. And midlife, right, it thrives on the classics when it comes to your clothing. There's nothing more classic than the navy blazer. All right? You buy a navy blazer, it's going to cover you for practically every situation in your life. Whether you're going to something quite smart, maybe even a friend's wedding, wear a navy blazer with a white shirt with a nice tie, you're going to look super sharp with a nice pair of trousers. But you can dress it down. If you're so inclined, and I wouldn't recommend it, but you can wear denim jeans with a navy blazer and it's going to look good. With that white Oxford shirt, it's going to look great. Footwear, right? This is a big game changer for men at this age. Everybody's wearing sneakers these days. The intentionally well-dressed man, well, he is wearing leather shoes, be it brogues, be it Oxfords, be it some other form of nice leather shoe, a loafer or so on, or a chukka boot, which you can put a shine on. It just puts a polish on your outfit, which is unmistakable as a man who makes an effort in the clothing that he wears. Because these clothes, they're not old manny, and they're not trying too hard to look young either. They're that fabulous tightrope in the middle, which is always stylish and elegant. Because if you stick to those classics in neutral colours, which you can wear across the broader span of your wardrobe, it's always going to look good. And my last little tip for you really is remember, right, grooming and lifestyle alignment is very important to the way that you look. Because clothing, it only does half the job. You're responsible for the man inside, and that's the easy bit really, because it's something we can do every day. You should be doing every day, right? If you are, like me, clean shaven, I shave every day because I don't want to project myself to the world as somebody with a scraggly stubble. I want to look clean shaven. In fact, I enjoy the meditative experience of shaving every day. Sets me up feeling clean and fresh, but it also makes me look clean and fresh to the world. Or even if you wear facial hair, don't have a straggly beard which isn't trimmed. Get it trimmed, put a bit of beard oil on there. Look the part that you want to look to the people around you, because it'll make all the difference. Use a little bit of cologne, trim the fingernails. Think about, the accessories as well. Wear a wristwatch. Wear, a nice belt which matches the other items of clothing that you're wearing. The little details and the accessories. And, stay in reasonable shape. Because if you have a £6,000 suit and you've got an oversized frame that you're putting that suit on, it's not going to look good as a £600 suit, 10% of the price, on a man who's kept himself in shape. It doesn't matter how expensive that suit is, it is not going to drape well on an outsized body. It's not going to look half as good as the guy who stayed in shape. Now, I'm not suggesting that we all have to be athletes in life, but we stay on top of the body inside the clothing. And that way, you're going to look sharp. You're going to look as if you're packed with vitality, you're competent, and you're ready to take on the world. And, would it harm you to put a bit of moisturizer on your skin twice a day? I do. After I've shaved and after I have my shower in the evening, I put a bit of moisturizer on the skin, and it keeps the skin looking fresh and glowing and healthy. And these are the things, it doesn't matter about the clothes, right? If you look good and healthy and fresh and you smell great, that's going to really come across as well to the people that you encounter. So, in rounding up, I'm just going to say, midlife is not a time to let it slip away. It's actually the best time in life to up the game and start dressing well. Because when you're in midlife, you can get away with things that you can't get away with in your 20s and 30s, quite frankly. You know, when you're 40, you can start wearing that tweed sports jacket, which just looks so sharp. You know, just look at the images of Sean Connery as James Bond leaning against his Aston Martin, wearing that tweed jacket, and you think elegance, timelessness. And you can really start pulling that off when we hit the midlife phase. But perhaps you'd be a little more too self-conscious to do it when you're 25. When you're 45, it's game on. So now's the time to embrace looking intentional. It is all about projecting that image to the world that I'm a man who takes care of myself, and that means I take care of business in life generally. Embrace it, enjoy it, and look sharp in this wonderful period of your adult life. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, don't forget to like it and subscribe for similar videos just like this. If you want to join me on the journey, you can become one of my patrons. The link to my Patreon page is in the description box below, and I make extra exclusive videos for my patrons every week. And ask me a question about anything to do with men's style, self-development or personal grooming, drop it into the email. I'd be delighted to hear from you. Until the next time we meet, look sharp in midlife, gentlemen. It's the best time to be alive.